So this is the latest mid-range device from OnePlus. It is the OnePlus Nord 5, and it sees some deviation from the OnePlus Nord 4, which was a brilliant device. Having said that though, this is still a brilliant mid-range device. I'm talking brighter display, performance is better as well. The battery is still really good, although the battery size is smaller than the OnePlus Nord 4. So is this just another mid-range device? Let's talk about it. For the design, we have this glass rear in matte finish. Feels really nice and soft in hand. The only thing about this though is the fact that it scratches, just albeit very easily. So I've got micro scratches all over the back already, just having it in my pocket. This is wider than the OnePlus Nord 4, and it has slightly heavier nature to it. So we're talking 211 grams. And on the side here, we have the volume rocker and power button placed on the right side of the device. It has a USB-C port on the bottom as well. We have stereo speaker there. SIM card slot is placed right at the bottom as well. When we look up top, we have that infrared blaster. So IR blaster is placed right at the top. Something that you don't really see on most smartphone anymore, but it's on this particular device, which is good. You can control your TV and other systems that use infrared at home. On the other side, we have a new button. This is a plus key, so it replaces that slider, the traditional alert slider that we're used to. But what you can now do with this though, what it allows you to do is program this so you can use it to do other things. So if you still prefer to have that alert slider, you can still have that there by just pressing and holding it, or you can have it to do other things like launch camera or torch, for example. Like I said already, you get stereo speakers, which sounds absolutely fantastic. So that's pretty much it when it comes to that design. Of course, we have the camera array on the back, which is a dual camera setup. We have flash there as well. And on the front, we have a front-facing camera also right there on the front. But overall, feels really nice in hand. Very, very good design. I love how minimal it is in terms of just not in your face. It's just nice and clean looking design. The OnePlus logo on the back as well is nice and subtle. You can get this in different colors as well, but I really like this purpley lilac sort of color. Looks really good. For the display, we're talking 6.83 inches of AMOLED 2800 by 1272 resolution display. It supports 144 Hz in terms of refresh, which is higher than the usual that you get when we talk about refresh rate. So usually you get 120 Hz, for example, and you can step through that refresh rate as well. So for example, if we go into our settings here to display and brightness, and then when we go to our screen resolution, you can set that to high. So screen resolution, increase the intensity. So you can go all the way to the maximum available. And then on the screen refresh rate, we can go auto select, we can go standard, we can go high, and then you can do app specific refresh rate as well. So you can change different things according to what you want. So pretty nice and straightforward there. Elsewhere, we have Corning Gorilla Glass 7i on the front to prevent from scratches, although again, it's not the strongest, so I've got a tiny little scratch on the corner because I peeled off the screen protector that comes with this, but that's something to bear in mind. Display settings as well allows you to change different things. So if we go all the way to things like screen color mode, here you can have vivid, you can have natural, and you've got pro modes as well, which means you can have cinematic, so DCI, P3, and then you also have that brilliant display version, so you get the widest color gamut for brighter color display. So loads of display settings and options there for those who are interested. In terms of the touch response rates, I think you're talking 3000 Hz of touch response on here, which is good for gaming. 450 ppi of pixel density thanks to that AMOLED display that we have, and also 3840 Hz of PWM dimming. So as far as the display goes, this is really nice and sharp. It has a lot of details, really good and bright, all direct sunlight situations as well. If I have any qualms with it, it'll be that the glare on it as well. So it's not anti-glare, which is a shame. You still have that screen that allows for water droplets and stuff like that, so it doesn't affect what you're actually doing on the phone. That's really good as well. That's something that OnePlus does properly. There's a name for it, which I can't remember right now, but you guys will know what I'm talking about. When it comes to the performance, this is running OxygenOS 15, which is based on Android 15, so things run very smoothly. It has a bunch of AI features, and this is all running on Snapdragon 8S Gen 3, which is powerful as well. So not the newest 8S Gen 4, but 8S Gen 3 is also pretty good in terms of performance. We have 8GB or 12GB of RAM available, so LPDDR5X. This has the upper 12GB of RAM, and you can also expand it using that internal storage. And talking of internal storage, we have the option between 256 or up to 512GB of internal storage, and that is UFS 3.1 as far as I'm aware. And also we have some Geekbench scores, which does really well on this. It beats the 9A, for example, from Pixel, so Pixel 9A. I said that really weird. It beats the Pixel 9A when it comes to Geekbench scores. I can't speak. But yeah, when it comes to Geekbench scores, this smashes it right out of the park. And what does that mean in the real world? When it comes to just using the device, things run very smooth. It's very fluid. When it comes to gaming, like playing Call of Duty, it works very well with no qualms at all. The battery in here is reduced as well. So we have 5,200 milliamp hour battery, down from Nord 4's 5,500 milliamp hour battery. But that's not too shabby. That's not to say this is still not going to last you long. This is one of the best battery life I've seen on a smartphone in terms of this can last you a whole 2 days depending on the usage. And I've been getting a day and a half comfortably well, even whilst I'm doing things like email, watching videos, gaming, doing social media, and all that kind of stuff that I normally do on my smartphone. So those are kind of some of the flagship features that you would get on this mid-range device. Charging is also now 80 watts, so it's down from 100 watts from the OnePlus Nord 4, which is honestly still not too shabby. 80 watts is still pretty fast, but you would need that Super VOOC charger, which doesn't come in the box. There's also no wireless charging here still, which is a shame. I wish they would introduce that into this. I think that's just something that's very common and normal to have on smartphones these days, so it's a shame that they don't have that on the OnePlus Nord 5. And for software, it will support up to 4 major Android updates. This is the way they've worded it. I don't know what classes as a major updates, but that's something to bear in mind if you're thinking about using this for a long period of time for the longevity. But this will make a great device, a second device or device for your teenager at home, or just someone who doesn't want all the bells and whistles of a flagship device. This will make a really good device. In terms of the display, it works really well. It looks absolutely fantastic when you're watching films, movies. I love the contrast levels. I love the highlights. I love just how rich in color it is as well. So, and you can change all that display settings in terms of your color space. So that's something to bear in mind. Really good. Onto the camera on the back. I'm sure you guys want to hear about the 2 camera options on the back. Right off the bat, it doesn't have telephoto lens, which is a shame. I wish it had that, because you start to see this come through when it comes to photo samples that we're going to talk about, that I'll put on the screen so you guys can see them as we're talking about them as well. But for camera spec, we're talking 50 megapixel main camera, which is f1.8, f1.88 to be exact. We have 8 megapixel ultra wide angle lens, which is f2.2. There's no telephoto lens, like I said already. And generally, I think when you look at the photo samples, the photos just looks a bit on the softer side. But like I always say with these things, you can always edit them after the fact, so you can get more sharpness out of it if you want to do that. But if we look at some of the photos here, sometimes it's sharp. It just depends on the lighting. So I think my experience is when you have a good lighting situation, the shots come out very well on that main 50 megapixel lens. So some samples here, for example, you can see this building here. You can see just how detailed it is here. You can see all the shapes and all the contours of the building. Now that's me punching in, and if I just bring it back to normal, you can just see how really nice and detailed that is. Retains every level. Even that ultra wide angle lens, even it's very, very minute in terms of that 8 megapixel, it still produces some decent shots, especially when you have good lighting. Low lighting is when you start to see that diminish. So if we carry on going forward, again, good lighting when it comes to zoom works well. Bad lighting, don't bother zooming. You won't get any details out of it. And then ultra wide angle there again. This is where I talk about the softer side. So when you start to zoom in, you can see how soft the edges would be for that one, especially on the ultra wide angle. Low light photography is okay as well, especially mainly on that main camera. Everywhere else is just not the best. But on the main camera lens, I think it's not too bad. I mean, look at the dynamic range on that. It's not the best at low light situations. And also the subject in that photo just looks basically so soft, you can't really make out who they are or what they're actually doing in that photo. But everywhere else, just generally, it's still usable for sharing on social media if that's something you want to do. But otherwise, I think it's okay. And then when it comes to the selfie cameras as well, I think it does a decent job. It retains my color, my skin tone, very good detailed as well. This is portrait mode, so you can see the separation as well. Really nice separation between me and the background, which is really good. You can also view on that Pro XDR screen as well, so you can see sort of like the difference in the highlights in there and the dynamic range, which is really good. Non-portrait photo, the same thing, works really well, so I've got no issues with that selfie camera. And you can also do some like really nice macro shots as well, so you can get up and close with subject, which isn't too bad, using that ultra wide angle lens. I don't think it's actually meant to be like macro, but it still does something close enough that produces something that you can share online. But overall, I think the camera is good for a mid-range device. Isn't too bad at all. When it comes to video, you can shoot up to 4K at 60 frames per second, which isn't too shabby as well for a mid-range device. So it has all the tools for you to get creative with the phone when it comes to the camera. So that's a bonus. More on that software though, there's not many bloatware on here. So there's not many pre-installed applications on here that's going to become annoying, which is really good. Many smartphones in the mid-range level comes with all these pre-installed apps that some you can't remove, some you don't really need most of the time. But one that's worth talking about is ZenSpace, which comes as part of the operating system. So with Zen Space, you can do things like you start work so that you don't get disturbed when you're doing work. When you need to study, you don't get disturbed, for example. It's something that you can play with and see if it's worth using or if it's worth your time. But you can have Deep Zen, which you can last for like a minute. So you can see there. So that way it says, once you start it, you can't exit it. So it allows notifications to be muted. All apps other than the camera will be temporarily locked as well. You can answer calls or make emergency calls. So with this, it just means that you can focus on your day, and this could be useful for the demographic. So if you're going to be buying this for your little one, for example, like a teenager, this could be a good way to get them to stop doing social media, for example, and just concentrate just for 1 minute on other things on the phone without getting distracted, which could be really cool. In terms of pricing, this can cost upwards of £499 depending on which storage configuration you go for. So bear that in mind. But otherwise, really good device. So that's pretty much it for the OnePlus Nord 5. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and if you have any questions, drop them there as well. I'll do my best to answer your questions. But yeah, let me know what you think. Have you got one of these? Are you thinking of buying one? Which is your favorite mid-range device on the market right now? Drop a comment below. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.